everyone, welcome to Ops on Cloud. In this specific video, let's try to understand context in GitHub Actions. So basically, context means they are like predefined data sources that will provide runtime information to your workflows. So for example, when you trigger your GitHub workflows, right, GitHub action workflows, right? So during the runtime, maybe you want to do very specific actions. For example, maybe you want to understand trigger a condition based on the branch name. So for that, during the runtime, you need a branch name or based on the event that has triggered the workflow, right? Based on that, you need to do specific actions. So that is where context comes into picture. Okay. So to get this runtime specific information. All right. So what are the uses of context? So basically, like it helps us to customize our workflows, as I already mentioned, based on the events, all those things. And if you want to inject values based on the branch name, or like for example, secrets, all those things and all are there, right? And also when you want to share the data between jobs and steps, even in such kind of scenarios, also you can go ahead and use context. Okay, in GitHub Actions, there are like lot of context which is available. So basically, the syntax is you'll have to use the context within the two flower brackets like this with a dollar symbol at the beginning. So basically, the in between these flower brackets, right? You can provide the context name and the property of that context, and then basically it will fetch the values. So for example, like here I'm using github.sha. So GitHub is the context name and SHA is the property which will give you the commit hash kind of thing. And similarly, in our previous videos, if you have observed, right? So we were using github.event name. So basically, if we want to trigger specific jobs based on an event like push event, pull request event, right? So for such kind of triggers, also we have used github.event name, all these things. And most important thing is context are there, right? Not every context is available at every level. So you have basically you have three levels. One is workflow level, job level, and step level. So workflow level in the sense it's available throughout your workflow. Job level in the sense only for that jobs block. So if you see you have a job block here, okay, so that comes under, this is workflow level, this is job level, all right. And then you have step level, so this is step level, right? So only for specific levels it will be available. For example, you have secrets are available at workflow level and job level but not at step level. And then you have one more context called as needs. Needs are available at job level and step level but not at workflow level, whereas GitHub is available at workflow level, job level, and step level. All right. So I mean, like, just make sure that you will not overuse the context, especially the one with respect to secrets in log files, all those things. Okay, and also try to test your context beforehand. So most of the time, what happens is we try to do some of the other mistakes. Because of that, we try to trigger the pipelines again and again. Okay, so let's quickly go and check the GitHub's official documentation on context. See, in the GitHub official documentations, right, you have, I mean, like a good amount of details. All right. So basically, you can see here for like GitHub context, env context, where jobs, all those things are there. So steps, I mean, like, steps means it will give you the information about the steps that have been run in the current job. So you can go ahead and see here. Simply you can go ahead and click, so you will get much more in detail information about step level context, where it can be used, at what levels it can be used. You see, so all these informations will be there. All right. So similarly, if you scroll a little bit down, right, you also have an example. Okay, and see, this is an example. So basically, based on the specific branch, you are triggering a specific workflow body or something like that. So for that, you need a context. And similarly, you have all the context that is available within GitHub Actions, right? So everything is documented here. So I would highly recommend, see, you don't have to remember or memorize each and everything. See, that's not possible. All right. So my recommendation is simply come and see. Okay, I know one is there for run name, concurrency, env. So you just go through it once. So that will give you a good understanding. So for example, in when you are actually working in any project or something like that, right, it will be very easy. I mean, directly you can go, I mean, like, you know what it is there, and you might simply come to this website, and you can basically go see and use it in your pipelines. So it makes your life very easy. All right. So do you see, if you scroll bottom, they have given a very detailed information about every context. Okay. So you can go ahead and I mean, like, understand these things. So let's quickly try to start with our hands-on practical session, and we'll try to see like what are the different scenarios that we can cover. Okay. Yeah, let's start with our practicals for context. Okay. So what I'll do is, I'll quickly go ahead and create. Now we have created context.yaml. So what we will do is, the first step is name. Then let's give a name like context practice. All right. And then after this, let us trigger this specific workflow on a push event. Okay. On push. And then what else we need? Jobs. Under jobs, what else we need? We need job name. And then we need to run this on Ubuntu. Runs on Ubuntu, and the image what we use is latest. Okay. So now what we need? Steps. So inside steps, so what we are supposed to do is, let's try to call a different context. All right. So that we can understand like how exactly it works. All right. So for that, we need to provide the name for this step first. Name. And after providing the name, I'll give the name as display. All right. And then what else we need? We need to run these things. Run, and when you run, I need an inline character. All right. So after this, what I'm supposed to do is, I'll try to echo different context. Echo, echo. So basically, event name, dollar. So every time when you want to call a context variable, right? This is the syntax basically. Dollar, and you should have this opening and closing of double flower brackets. And now what we will try to discuss with, if you remember, so we were discussing about the different type of context which comes under GitHub, where all those things. Okay, so now we will discuss specifically on GitHub specific context. All right. So what I'll do is GitHub, and then dot, and for this event underscore name. Okay, this is one context which will give us event name. All right, and then what else is there? Echo. I need one more for the reference, right? Ref, and then the syntax still remains the same. Dun 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 dun. Sorry. Yeah. So again, here it is GitHub dot ref reference. Yeah. And then what else is there? Let's try to capture SHA. Echo SHA, and then dollar, and what we'll do is GitHub dot yes h, yeah. Okay, this is something which you got. And then we need to know the actor name also. Echo. So here, actor dollar GitHub dot as actor. Okay, and then I'll try to capture the workflow as well. Echo. Then see, the reason why I'm adding so many examples is I just want you to practice, because these are some of the I mean like contexts which you will be using frequently in your projects. All right. So because of that, workflow, and then you have dollar. So now by now you should be able to guess the name. It is workflow, and then we have one more important things, that is echo run ID. Run ID. Okay, and for this one, right, what we can do is GitHub dot run. So if you have installed the GitHub extension, the GitHub action extensions in VS Code, right? So now basically it makes your life much more easier with auto suggestion. So I'll try to capture the run number. Run number. Okay, number and number. All right, and then what else is there? So let's try to discuss about the second type, which is the variables. Okay, how to capture the variables in GitHub Actions. Okay, that is also one of the important thing. All right. So for that, I'll create a substep, which means we'll have to give a name now, right? So hyphen name and if variables data. Okay, and then we need to run. After running, what else we are supposed to do? Pipe it with echo variable value. Ah, sorry, we missed dollar. See, the moment you don't follow that syntax, it will not be able to identify it. So vars, here we are using GitHub. So since we are accessing variables, so now it is vars. So if you notice the variable name, whatever is there, it's not auto populating it. Okay. So the reason behind that is it still doesn't know. Okay. So in the next step, I will try to show you where exactly we'll be creating this variables debug. All right. So now I have created all these things. So the moment I create all these things, now what we are supposed to do is we are supposed to push this and then we can check the output. So before doing that, I'll try to do one small change here. So instead of just keeping push, I will also try to keep workflow dispatcher as well. Workflow dispatch. The reason behind that is we can simply trigger there manually. Uh, After creating this variable, that is the reason. Okay, so for that, git status, yeah, git add dot git commit hyphen m, yeah, one context values. Okay, and then let me do git push. All right, perfect. So let's go back to the GitHub Actions user interface. Yeah. So yeah, this specific workflow is triggered. It's in queue at the moment. So let's wait for some time. Yeah, it is done. So let's go and try to identify what is happening here. So here, if you come here and if you see under the display, okay, So it is basically giving us all the values. Oh, I have given event name, typo, sorry. So event name, ref, SHA, actor. So actor is ops on cloud, and you have workflow and the run ID and the run number. And then if you see here, right, the variable name, it is actually empty. The variable value, whatever you see, if you basically compare the variable value, it is actually empty. The reason behind that is we have not yet created. So how do you create it? So to create that, so you have this settings. Go to settings here. On the left hand side, you should be able to see secrets and variables. There you need to select actions, and then so this we will come to that. For now, we will create this as a variable. Okay. And now what we are supposed to do is we are supposed to create a repository variable. All right, new repository variable. I'll give the repository variable name as app debug, and I will keep it as uh, yes. Usually we will keep it as true. I just don't want to use boolean values here. That's it. Yeah. So now this has been created as yes. All right. So what we will do is we'll go back to our actions. Anyway, we have created the workflow dispatcher here, right? So basically, there was a diff. I was actually I have pushed everything in test branch. So I have just merged whatever is there from test branch to the main branch. So now if you come here, if you see here, right? So we have this workflow dispatch event which is available. So what I'll do is I'll simply click on run workflow. The moment I click on run workflow, this specific event workflow has been triggered. All right. So now simply come here, just check it. It's in queue. So let's wait for a few minutes. Yeah, it is done. And then if you come here, check it out. Do you see? We are able to see the variable value as yes. So that's how it works. So earlier it was empty. So now since we provided the variable values, right? So it's able to capture it and print the respective value of the specific variable. That's how it works. Okay. Now let's go to the next context. Okay, so let's assume you want to trigger a workflow based on a specific action. Maybe like you want to, when you trigger a workflow, you want it to take an input. For example, like an application debug mode to be true or false, or something like that. Okay, that parameterization. So that is also a kind of context in GitHub Actions. Let's try to quickly go and explore that at workflow level. All right. For that, what we are supposed to do is I will try to create a that input context under workflow dispatch. So that is inputs, sorry, and here inside inputs, right? So what we are supposed to do is we need debug. I'll keep something called as debug. Debug is not a inbuilt variable, so I'm just keeping. I need that variable. That's the reason. And type is boolean. Okay, under boolean, what I'll do is we need to provide the default value. So by default, it's always false. All right. Yes. And now after this, what we are supposed to do is I'll come here and we need to go with run name. Okay. Run name. And what should be the run name? Context. Context. I'll give it S5 debug. Let me make it debug so that it will be evident. You can also give it in small caps. It's not mandatory that you should give it. I just gave it so that visually it will be good. That's it. Yeah. And then you have inputs. Okay. Here you are going with GitHub, but now it is inputs because that is your context level. And under input, see, even though this is not an inbuilt variable, okay, it's still able to identify. And okay, and we will save this one. So now what I'll do is so git add dot git commit hyphen m. Okay, 0 1 context input. Okay, git push. All right. See, let's quickly go to our GitHub Actions. It has triggered. So if you carefully see here, right, by default, you don't see true or false getting appended. And the reason behind that is we are not running this for push event. The inputs, whatever we have given, we have not given that for the push event. Instead, we have given that for the workflow dispatch event. Okay. So now what happens is all we have to do is just come here. Let's go to context practice and let's try to trigger this specific workflow. See, when you try to trigger this workflow, by default, the debug is there. So first, what is the default value? It is always false. So I will not select this one, run this workflow. All right, go to actions and you see false is getting appended. And similarly, if I come to context practice, come here, let me select run workflow, and now when you see the actions, you should be able to see it as true. Okay, so this is the advantage. So and if you want, you can also use this in different places. All right, so based on this condition, if you want to create a conditional logic inside your workflow, so all these things can be done. Okay, and now next what we will do is we'll try to explore the environment variables, how you can configure envs in GitHub Action. So for that, what we are supposed to do is in GitHub Actions, see, in environment variables are there, right? You can configure at three levels. One is at the complete workflow level, and the other one is at the job level, and the third one is at step level. Okay, always the step level gets the highest precedence, and then the job level, and then the workflow level. Okay, so let's try to go and see how it works. So for that, what I'll do is first I will go and create something at workflow level. Okay, env, and so I will give it as workflow variable, workflow underscore variable, and this one I will keep it as workflow itself. The reason is we should easily be able to distinguish. And then what I will do is I'll create one more overwritten underscore workflow underscore. Sorry, there is a spelling mistake. Please ignore that. I'm very weak in spellings. Yeah. And again, I'll go and write. So this will help us to easily identify the precedence. So now what we will do is we will call them. Okay. To call them, how do you call? How do you call workflow level variables? So let's come here. Okay. And we'll create hyphen name, a name, and give name as workflow env variable, workflow. Okay, and to call this workflow env variable, what you are supposed to do is again run inline character and then echo echo. I will use with echo what we use for workflow env, workflow env. These two, this always remains the same. Now you're simply supposed to use this env dot, and what is that we give with the name workflow where env dot workflow var, and then I will try to add the same thing. So this one just for differentiation purpose. Okay, and this one I will come here, paste it. Sorry. Yes, this is the best way. All right. So now let's try to run this one. Git add dot git commit 0 1 context env git. Okay. Yep, we have pushed it. Come here. Let's try to go inside. Let's check it. Let's check this out. Yeah. So we have workflow env variable. Yes, this is capturing the workflow level variables at workflow level. So now let's try to replicate the same thing for job level. Let's try to test if actually job level gets the highest level of precedence or something like that. Okay. To do that, what we are supposed to do is come here. Okay. The same variables, whatever we are trying to keep. So we will try to add it here. All right. So you have this jobs. Under jobs, you need to have echo data. Under echo data, you already have runs on. Under runs on, you will keep it env. All right. So that is a syntax kind of thing which we are supposed to follow. So for us to verify this, what is that we need? Take this and copy it here. Okay. So the moment you copy this here, what this variable should be, it should be job, right? Let me make it job. All right. And now what I'll do is I will try to add it again. Git add dot and hyphen m. Yeah. It should be technically 02. I just made it 01 again. Sorry. Git push. Okay. So let's try to go and verify. Actions. Context debug on. Yeah. And now workflow variable. See, do you see? Now instead of giving workflow, instead of picking it as workflow, it is speaking as job. The reason behind that is it is getting overridden by precedence. Okay, so it gives most important to job level variable. Okay, because when you have two variables which are exactly same and when you are using it, right, so what GitHub workflows will treat it, actions will treat, it will treat it as, I mean, like, okay, job is of highest priority. Okay, and now let's try to test the same thing with step level. All right, so for that, what we are supposed to do is come here. You have a step. You already have this, right? Under this name itself, I will come create env. All right. Under env, we will take this workflow variable, overridden variable, and we will paste this guy. And this is actually step. Okay. So we will make this as step. So let's come here, get that dot. This time let's make it 2 and then git push. Okay, let's come here. Go inside context. Yep. Expand. Yes. Do you see? Now step step is of the highest importance. Okay, so if you see here, it got overridden by basically step is overriding jobs and job is overriding workflow. So now it is giving steps. So this is how it works. All right. So I hope this specific video was helpful. So that's it about context in GitHub Actions. Okay. So for now we should be good. I would highly recommend you to practice whatever we have discussed, and you can also go to GitHub official documentation. Try to explore different combinations. Try to think what are the other aspects that you can do. Okay, do some experimentation. Get your hands dirty. So you should be good.